Hey guys, good morning. It's Ishtars Day, so happy Easter. Easter originates from an older Sumerian way of life, which was when that region of the world, if not almost the entire world, would praise to the resurrection of the goddess Ishtar when she returns from the gates of hell. Okay? And all her gifts and powers and who she is returns back to her. Her essence, her true self returns back to her. Okay? So Easter is the old religion and cult of Ishtar. So happy Ishtar's Day to all of you watching today. Now, I've been awake since 4 a.m. this morning. I tried going to sleep, but it didn't work. I guess it's my own resurrection back to my true self, and my power and my energy and spirit has aligned back into me, right? So yesterday I was, for about 6 or 7 hours, I did have a get together with that lady that I met at the gynecologist. If you watched my 2 videos prior, I'm explaining how when I went to the gynecologist, there was a local Gyumri woman in her early 50s, I'd say 50 years old, who she's actually born on the 25th of December. Look at the synchronicity, okay? Which is the ancient pagan day of Saturnalia. Has nothing to do with Jesus, okay? Or Christianity. We got together, and basically to sum it up, we have a very, very similar... Yeah, so basically to sum it up, we have a very similar story. If you watch that video, she was telling me how she lived in Yerevan for 30 years, and then she came back to Gyumri 3 years ago. She's in remorse or regret for doing it, and then she told me why. So on Sayat Nova, basically almost the center of Gyumri, she owns and operates 2 Airbnbs, plus downstairs she's renting out like a business, okay? She's renovated the entire place, and she experienced exactly what I experienced with these renovators and all this trauma and everything. She experienced the same fucking thing. So if you've been watching me, how I had to get the police involved and everything, she literally is dealing with that right now, where she's having the police involved. She owns everything, and the neighbor who owns partially the other part of the building is threatening her that, you know, he has all this money and he could do whatever the hell he wants and pay off the police and get away with it. So she's telling me she's, you know, about to take up a lawyer, and she called like her rights, you know, like human rights, women's rights or places, and like she's talking on the phone in front of me and talking to the cops, and they're all in it, you know, they're all here to protect her, which is great. So, you know, it's so fascinating, and we're both looking at each other. She's like, I don't know, I just felt like we were supposed to meet and whatever. And like her ex-husband, and they live in Russia, and the ex-husband's mom does a lot of black magic on her, like pays Russians to do black magic on her, and I sensed it immediately, and she told me, so I removed it off of her. We're gonna have to do a few sessions. And she's like, tell out of the men in Gyumri, they treat single women like fucking shit. I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm fully aware of this. And she saw the video of me by Public Armenia 1, where I'm like, you know, in the orphanage and stuff, and everything I'm saying is aligning with her. And she's like, you have no idea how much I believe it's like fate and destiny that brought us together. So she's like, I think we're supposed to do something together, like maybe like build up our businesses together and do this together. Because like I told her, like, even this apartment, I'm gonna rent it out or sell it. She's like, don't sell it, rent it out, we'll do these businesses together and such, you know. And we're like, yeah, 2 women together is much stronger. And we'll be teaching these asshole men a lesson, not to stop fucking around with women. Because here, when they see women in business, they get so threatened, the men. Because remember, the guys here, they're very lazy. You know, they don't really do women do the work and they try to like belittle them and such, you know? Yeah, we're both like, yeah, fate brought us together to do something. And like in my video too, where I'm like interviewed by like public radio, Armenia Public Radio, or if that's what it's called, I'm literally saying the girls and the women need support here. So her goal is very aligned with mine, because has dreams of like adopting 5 orphan kids and like raising them or putting them in like one of her little buildings and like raising them there. So she's got really good intentions, you know? And she's like, I used to be so giving to everyone. I used to cook all this food and give it to the neighbors and feed the poor. And she's like, I forcefully had to stop because I was being taken advantage of. And I'm like, I know what you're saying. I've experienced the same thing. And she's like, you know, people in Gumi, they used to be so loving and caring, and when it came back 3 years ago, I noticed it's all changed. The people here are changed. They're not like how they used to be. I'm like, yeah. Anyhow, yeah, to sum it up, so we'll be doing a lot of work together, I'm pretty sure. Like, she brought me flowers, it was sweet, and ice cream, and like all this chocolate and fruit. It was very nice of her. And I'm pretty sure we're going to do some stuff together, and we're already planning like picnics and like traveling together here in Armenia, and probably going to Vanatsor and doing stuff for my birthday soon. And she's got to deal with all this stuff first, but I did a tarot reading on her and a coffee cup. I'm like, listen, her name is Ruzana. I'm like, you're going to win this. They're just trying to threaten you, just the same way they tried it with me, you know? And I'm like, Ruse, like, I used to be so nice to people, and then I started screaming at them and acting like a psychopath. They all back away. She's like, that's what I've been doing. Like, we don't have a fucking choice, you know? They back away when you start acting like a psychopath. So happy Easter's Day. Happy Easter's Day and happy Ishtars Day to all of you. One more thing. So she's got all these buildings, right? It's like all renovated. I went and I saw the place. It's like beautifully done, which she went through hardship. But like the other guy on the other side of the building, because she's going to be making profit from her own fucking building, which she owns, he's causing her problems, jealousy. And so she's not right now making profit because no one's in there and renting it out, the you know, the place to like the Airbnbs and such. And I'm like, get the fucking cops involved, man. They'll protect your ass. She's like, yeah, I've heard like the cops in Gyumri there, they defend women. I'm like, trust me, like I experienced it. Like it'll be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. And like I said, I read her tarot. I'm like, they're just trying to scare you so that you give in. Don't you ever fucking give in. She's like, I'm not. So one more thing, I just find it really interesting how it was last year with me when I like won the case around this time with the police, and like this lady's going through the exact same thing around the same time a year later. Another thing she told me was, she's like, Talat, I met a lady, she's 40 years old in Gyumri, she's born and raised in Gyumri, and when I walked, she told me that she's a pagan, like if you want to call it. She's like, I don't know if she was calling it Satanism, because, you know, there's an actual, like, way of life in North America called Satanism by Anton LaVey, right? Or I don't know, or whatever, because when I walked into her house, she's got, like, reverse pentacles everywhere in her house, and all these dark feminine goddesses, and I'm like, we gotta motherfucking meet. Like, this is happening for a real reason. Because all of us females who are like, because there are some true divine goddesses, empowered females living in Gyumri that are going to be sticking together and running their own stuff, okay? Who are very spiritual and energetically aligned. So this is going to be awesome. Definitely this path is finally brewing up, even more intense, in a sense, even more deeply aligned. Okay, stay tuned for more. And she's like, it's so fascinating because like people assume that when people are into like paganism or like dark feminine or like anything that's not like, you know, as these people say Jesus, that they'd be evil. She's like, that girl, that 40-year-old lady is like the most loving and giving person I've ever met. And like, that's what we are, you know? So we're all sticking together. This is going to be fucking beautiful.